bachelor's degree from Global University.
What's Global University?
The Assemblies of God College in Springfield, Missouri. But I'm also looking at how I can take things at the local community college and then transfer them to Global University and just take my Bible courses there.
Would that involve you having to live in Missouri for a while?
Oh God, no, man. We're talking everything online these days, man.
Okay.
No, man, we're talking everything online. But some people you can what a lot of people do, and I know they do it at Southeastern, so I assume they do it at
Southeastern Bible
too.
College?
Yeah. I know they do it in Missouri too.
Southeastern Bible College isn't around anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
No, actually I didn't. No, I think it still is.
No. They closed up shop.
Anyway, but a lot of universities, you go maybe for a weekend at the start of the semester.
Yeah.
And go on a Friday, Saturday, do your courses, online for the semester. And then at the end of the semester, go back on a Friday, Saturday, for exams or visits or you did a good job or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew that's how one of the pastors at what's that church I used to go to? Ridgecrest did it that way. He would do all his courses online and then he'd go for like a week or two and just like do tests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Southeastern merged with Piedmont International University and suspended operations June 1st of 2017.
Okay. Yeah. So they merged. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the building's up for sale. But if you drive around Birmingham, lots of buildings are up for sale. Anyway.
I was talking about Southeastern University down in Lakeland, Florida.
Oh, I thought you meant Southeastern Bible College.
No.
That makes sense. You've always been AG. Southeastern Bible College is a Baptist college.
I'm sorry. Yes, I was talking about Southeastern Bible College down in Florida.
Okay.
The one Larry Lamb was always pushing.
Oh, well, that's the number one reason not to go there.
That's why I'm going to. It used to be. They actually had two colleges. The Assemblies of God actually had two colleges in Springfield, Missouri, where the home office is. They actually had Central Bible College and Evangel University, which I never understood why they had two different colleges there, but apparently they've merged them both into a global university now. So,
okay, so you would be what would you call it? Ordained, accredited? I don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
The goal is to become an ordained minister. Yes.
Of the Assemblies of God.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you could essentially pastor any AG church you wanted. They wanted you.
I don't want to pastor.
You don't?
I don't know. I don't know.
Do you have a choice in the matter?
I don't know.
The answer is yes.
No.
Anyway.
I mean, sure you do, man. But if God calls you to do something, what's your life going to be if you don't do it?
That was the point of the question.
Right. So, no, I don't. I mean, if I want to live... Anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to live that pastor lifestyle?
I don't know, man. I really feel like he's calling me to teach and not pastor, but we'll see.
What's the difference?
Teaching is being an associate pastor at the church, teaching some, going to see people in the hospital, preaching occasionally.
So a volunteer, maybe part-time gig as opposed to a full-time gig.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. I gotta think on this and pray and talk to Johnny, and I've already sent him 2 texts. I was like, dude, I'm freaking out. He's like, okay, we'll get it under control.
Yeah.
Calm down.
And your family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
All right. You ready to talk about comic books?
I am ready, man.
Cool.
Here we go.
All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 month behind podcast for the week of 2/26/18. I am Pat.
And I'm Sean.
And this week we're Eminem and Ed Sheeran, just because, they put out a song together on Ed Sheeran's new album. And I don't know, man, just seemed like an ideal. Sports are not really exciting right now and politics drive me insane. So Ed Sheeran and Eminem.
Some sort of like weird death rumor went around about Ed Sheeran this week.
Nope, he's pretty much alive and well.
Yeah, it was one of those old Facebook hoaxes. At least it came around my social circle anyway.
I put there by the Russians, man. Come on.
Yeah, it's Russian propaganda.
Don't we all know this by now?
Everything on the internet is Russian propaganda.
It's Russian propaganda. If you don't agree with it, it's Russian propaganda. Come on. See, we went into politics anyway. The email is...
You can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website's www.6monthsbehind.com. There's a What Next coming up. I'm still going to do the...
Future Imperfect.
Thank you. One, but there's a good dump on some Electra books this week, and we're going to record a What's Next about those that we'll be talking about at the end of the show. So there you go.
Well, I love a good dump.
Yeah, it is a good dump. And speaking of a good dump, you sent me a spreadsheet that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I found it on the Marvel Unlimited Reddit page. It's a Google Doc. It's a spreadsheet of all the series in Marvel Unlimited that are completed right now.
1,544 series are completed for a total of 11,894 issues.
It's a lot of comic books.
Yeah, it's nearly 12,000 and growing every week. So, they add anywhere from 25 to 50 a week. So,
right. And those are just the series that are completed, not the stuff that they're still adding to. So,
Yeah, I mean, because I noticed I was trying to figure out what it was before we started the podcast, before we started the video call. And I was looking, and I was like, like Marvel 2-in-1 and Marvel Team Up that I'm big fans of. Neither one of those are on this list. So, and you explained to me after, we got on the air together that, this is what's completed. Well, those aren't completed, but there's 25 issues of Marvel Team Up there, another 25 issues of Marvel 2-in-1, and someday they'll get around to putting out the other 300 issues of the combined two series.
Yeah. Yeah. And eventually the last 3 issues of Black Goliath.
I saw that. It was a 4-issue book in the mid-70s, and they dumped one this week. I'm just like, seriously, you dump one. What? Why? I mean, I don't understand. Just one. There's only 4.
Right.
Okay. You can dump, all 22 issues of this Electra series. Is it 22? 19. All 19 issues of this Electra series. You can dump all those. You can't figure out how to put 4 issues of Black Goliath on at the same time.
There's some sort of, I don't know if they're doing like a voodoo ritual to determine what they put on there every week. I don't know, man.
Is there only like so much, somebody's only got so much RAM on their computer. So, that's too many books. Stop here.
Right. It's like,
I don't know, man. It didn't make any sense to me.
An upload can only be so big. So it's like, well, we got a little bit of space left. Let's throw that one Black Goliath book up there.
Yeah, but we can get more in Avenger Solo Act presented by Disney Child Life. Okay, we can get that, which we all excited about reading. Okay, yeah, that's sure.
Did you read it?
Oh God, no.
It's 5 pages.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
I don't even know what it's for. Anyway,
let's be sure you get that there. Marvel didn't do anything incredibly stupid this week.
No, actually, they had some good press. They bumped Infinity War up a week. It's going to come out in April.
Oh yeah, man! I was all excited about that.
Yeah, Marvel's hot right now in the movie scene, so moving up a week. Plus, you don't have to. Yeah, go ahead. They don't have to compete with themselves in May when Deadpool 2 and Solo come out.
Right. Plus, they what happens is that they'll what was supposed to happen is it was supposed to open in Europe and the rest of the world that weekend in April. Then the next week it opens in the United States. Well, if they open in the rest of the world, then all the spoilers come out of, all the spoilers, everything's all over the internet. You could probably find a movie on the internet if you wanted to before it ever releases in the United States. And that's what they wanted to, one of the things they wanted to avoid.
Yeah, and I mean, is there really any reason not to have it released worldwide all at once,
I have no idea.
other than maybe time zones?
I know I will be there 7 o'clock that Thursday night, man. As soon as tickets go on sale, I'm buying it. I'll be there.
You might be able to buy them now.
I might. I'm in, man. I'm in. We have a church group that meets every Thursday night, and I told them 2 or 3 weeks ago. I said, y'all understand something? I am missing the Black Panther premiere tonight to be here. When Infinity War opens in 2 months, it ain't happening. I ain't gonna be here. Okay, I'm not gonna. Y'all gonna have the meeting. I won't be here. Zach spoke up. Zach's like, yeah, I'll be over there with Pat at the theater. You pastor from the church looked at me. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna be there too. But finally, Doug and Lacey run it. We meet at their house. And Doug's my age. He kind of looks sideways at Lacey, and she's looking at him. And I could tell he was kind of afraid to say it. Finally, he said, yeah, I'll be there too.
So you and the church group are going out for Infinity War.
We are, yeah. I just explained it to him. Hey, y'all gonna have a meeting. I won't be here. And all the guys were like, yeah, we're going. Okay. So we're all going to Infinity War.
Cool.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I am too.
Bunch of nerds. Hey, so interesting question about that. Do you think that the Marvel characters, at least in the movies, have dug themselves in enough into the, not just us, but like culture at large, that they'll be able to follow this movie? Because it's tying threads from every single movie up to this point. It's a decade of movies. Do you think that's going to translate well with the general audience?
I think, if I understand what you're saying, the general audience was able to, because somebody asked me about this. I was hanging out with Rick and Gary last night, and yeah. I think it was Rick. He's not a nerd. Okay. He's not like us. Right. He's like, can I go to Black Panther and understand what's going on without having seen the previous X number of Marvel movies? And I was like, yeah, man, it's a standalone movie. It's you just walk in and see it. He's been introduced before, but you won't miss anything. And what you're asking is, will the average person, let's say my wife Renee, who hasn't seen most of the Marvel movies, I think she's seen the Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe Thor. Okay, maybe she suffered through Captain America one night with me, but she hasn't seen all the Marvel movies. I think your question is, would she enjoy going through the Avengers if she doesn't understand all these characters and all the back history and all the other movies? And I believe, yes, it's a big enough production that even if you're not familiar with all these characters, you'll understand what's going on here.
Okay. They'll be able to glom on and like keep track of the story and know who everyone is.
You may not know who everyone is, but you'll be able to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm assuming that was your question.
Yeah. Kind of like the most casual of audiences. Will this translate to them?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. It's just, how much of the social sponge has soaked up the MCU.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, Marvel is putting, what was the number? Is it $1 billion into the 2 movies, or was it $500 million into the 2 movies?
It was probably $1 billion into each. I mean,
No, it wasn't that. I think it was $1 billion into both, because they're filming and producing them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the cost of everything for both movies, of Avengers 3, Avengers 4, was $1 billion. And now, of course, that'll be spread over the 2 movies, one in 2018, one in 2019. And dude, it's just, it's got to work, man. it's got to work, brother.
Yeah. Yep, it's got to work.
Yeah,
it will. It'll be fine.
It will.
Yeah. Everybody's so hot on Black Panther right now that dude, FX is going to start showing those movies like crazy. People have caught up. People, the hype train is real. And you know, even I think even some of the casual folks will go back and watch a few movies, and yeah, it'll be a good time.
If nothing else, you know, FX or USA will be running the three Avengers movies back to back, two Avengers movies back to back.
Yeah,
And,
at least.
I always count Captain America: Civil War as an Avengers movie. Yes, I know it's not, but dude, it's an Avengers movie.
It's an Avengers movie. Yeah,
I watched it. I watched it a week or two ago. It's an Avengers movie, man.
I did the same thing leading up to Black Panther, and yeah, it's hard not to think of it as an Avengers movie.
I mean, you got more Marvel characters fighting at the airport there than you do in any of the Avengers movies. I mean, it was what, 6 on each side, total 12 characters, I think.
Something like that. And then Infinity War is going to have literally everyone.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you might even see a TV character show up. I can see Coulson popping his head in for half a second.
We'll see.
It'd be a nice little comeback.
I'm trying to think. Was he at that photo shoot in New York? I think he was.
I think so.
We're speaking of the Vanity Fair photo shoot where they got every person who had been in a Marvel movie onto one stage at one time. If you haven't seen it, Google Vanity Fair Avengers, and there's like, I forget how many actors, man. Everybody was there. Stan Lee was there. You know, everybody from Robert Downey Jr. to the girl who plays Captain Marvel, who hasn't even technically appeared in the movie yet. They were all there.
Yeah. Also, it was top secret, and they all filmed it on their phones.
Yes, they were all texting from it, sending pictures out while the thing was being done.
On Periscope, you know, and then all of a sudden somebody was like, "Hey, you're not supposed to know about this," and then everybody's like, "Oh, oops,
sorry." I think it was godly. What's the guy's name that plays the Hulk? Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah,
who literally stopped recording like halfway through. He was like, "Oh, gotta go."
Yeah, it was. I saw it from Mark Ruffalo, not Sam Wilson. The guy that plays Sam Wilson, Anthony Mackie, and Kieran Gillen, who plays Nebula. I saw because I follow them on social media that all of them were there and doing something with it.
Yeah.
So, hey, speaking of Stanley, what's up with Stanley right now?
I believe he's got pneumonia and is pretty sick.
Yeah, but there's some other stuff going on too.
Are you talking about the lawsuits?
Yeah, with the guy that was his handler for so many years.
Dude, he's caught up in the Weinstein sexual harassment vacuum.
Is he?
Yeah. Supposedly, you know, he's
okay. His mother,
nurses and housekeepers and people at his house for the last few years, and he's been too friendly with them.
Yeah, but there's something going on with the dude that handles his money and stuff, like all his business affairs.
I don't know about.
Okay, yeah, like his daughter's involved, and yeah, I don't know. The police were at his house recently. I don't know, man. It's getting a little weird. Now I'm worried about Stan. Anyway, we've BS'd around enough. We need to get to our comic books this week. We're going to start with Secret Empire, and just so you know, we're going to talk about spoilers. Just from moving forward, all spoilers all the time.
Yes. Just deal with it.
Yeah. So this is Secret Empire number 9. It ends with number 10, and then there's a epilogue issue. So we're coming up on the end of Secret Empire here, and everything is moving very fast now. So we open in the void, which we have learned is actually Kobik's mind. And what she's realized is that she thought she was doing the right thing, and she really just messed everything up. And now this void that she's created she's hiding, you know, like a kid would after they've done something that they did something bad, but they didn't mean to do it.
Right. And you know, she's crying, she's upset. And she said she just wanted to make everyone happy, and you know, instead she just made everything worse.
Yeah.
And then she tells Steve Rogers there to remember.
Yes. Very distinctly.
Yes.
So from there, we go to present day Washington, D.C. at the White House. If you remember from last issue, all of our heroes are currently fighting Hydra for domination of the planet. So there's a war raging right outside the walls. when Baron Zemo shows up and he's got T'Challa in chains. Wakanda has been conquered again.
Right.
And T'Challa's being very T'Challa about it. I mean, you know, Steve Rogers is supposed to be the Hydra Supreme, and you know, T'Challa's just insulting him. He just calls him Steve, and then he tells Baron Zemo he's gonna break the handcuffs off of him and break him, which we'll see how that goes later. Anyway, so that's happened. You've got Emma Frost, Beast, and what's his name? Hellfire Club guy.
Sebastian Shaw.
Yeah. They've arrived. The delegation from New Tian has arrived, and while the battle rages around them, while every hero ever is fighting, they're having negotiations. And, you know, Captain America's leading the fight. All the heroes are there. All the space heroes are there. Spider-Man shows up. The U.S. Avengers are there. The NATO Allied Forces Avengers are there. But Hydra's guys are there too. I mean, you've got Doc Ock, you got Odin's son, all the Hydra folks, Scarlet Witch, who's possessed by Chthon. Yeah. And then we see the negotiations go sour with New Tian. They're not going to bow down to Hydra anymore, and Magneto, using his powers, takes out a bunch of the ships. And this is where we see the tide of the battle turning in favor of the heroes, at least for the moment.
Yes.
There's the fight in the throne room. Dadgummit. Arnim Zola. He takes it upon himself to try to get Steve Rogers to safety. More heroes are joining the battle. You know, the X-Men are there now. The Defenders. Everybody. And it's during this fight that a choice is made. And
this is a really cool scene.
Yeah, it really is. Odin's son has seen enough, and he's not going to tolerate it anymore. He flies over to the National Mall there in DC, where Mjolnir lies, having not moved since Steve Rogers held it. And then there's a big crack of lightning. From there, we meet Taskmaster and Black Ant.
I think these 2 pages might be some of the funnest in this whole 10-issue count Omega, count 0, 12, or 13. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I think these 2 pages are some of the funnest writing, certainly in this series, and that I've seen in a while.
It's really entertaining.
It really is.
So Taskmaster turns to Black Ant, and they're just standing around. He says, "You hear that boom? I know that boom. That's the we're going to lose boom." And, you know, Black Ant's like, "I'm not surprised, government." And Taskmaster's like, "You know, everybody says they just want to rule the world, but no one really wants to. It's really boring." And Black Ant says, "You know, what do we do?" And Taskmaster turns to him and says, "You know what? I've been doing this a while. The only thing you can do in a time like this is switch sides." Pan to the champions. Those 2 go to the champions and say, "Look, we're going to make a deal with you. We're going to let you out of here. Just don't punch us in the face, and make sure you tell the Avengers that we did this. And also, we got you Shake Shack one time." So they let the champions out, and Spider-Man immediately webs them to the wall. They're in the fight now. Everybody's here. There's a nice little reunion with Vision and Viv, who Viv's able to cure Vision of his programming. And then you have this face-to-face with Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange, which is cool. And he realizes she's been possessed. And now, listen, as we discussed some episodes ago, Doctor Strange was supposed to have had all the magic in the world destroyed, and he's supposed to be weak right now. Except every time he needs to do something, he's somehow able to conjure up some magic. And he casts a really complex summon spell right here, a very powerful one, and summons Thor, Lady Thor, to the battle.
Back from the dimension that she was exiled to. Yes.
Weird World.
Yes.
Remember, she was exiled to Weird World.
I don't think it's Weird World, but okay.
I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Maybe it wasn't. I don't remember.
I think it was another dimension, but okay, go ahead. Anyway, he gets her back.
It took a great deal of power for him to summon Thor from another dimension. So, what about this thing about magic being gone? I don't know, man.
And then he finds a spell to beat Shaitan. So,
yeah, he's able to exorcise the demon. The bad part about her being back, Jane Foster being back, is Thor is now Odin's son. I assume has the hammer, and she doesn't, so she reverts back to her human self. Captain America gets her out of there. Meanwhile, Zemo's walking T'Challa to his cell. He reveals that they're working on a new Masters of Evil when Bucky shows up, kicks the crap out of him, and he, along with T'Challa, are able to take Zemo out of at least knock him unconscious. We see Sharon Carter resisting Dr. Faustus.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, Dr. Faustus has a history of possessing Sharon Carter and Steve Rogers and making them do things that they don't want to do. And she's basically undergone mental training so that she resists his voice, and she's been faking it for a while.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Faustus is the one that caused her to shoot Steve in the back at the end of the first Civil War.
Yeah.
Anyway, then we find out where Zola is taking Steve. He has created this suit, and they're going to take the cosmic cube and put it into the suit and literally fuse the cosmic cube to Steve Rogers. Now, as we see that happen, we go back to the void with Kobik. Steve Rogers here is beginning to remember things, all the people in his life. They go to this fountain, which is very similar to the pool that we saw when she changed time the first time. And
okay, let's stop here.
Okay.
You've been warned about spoilers. This is a second brief warning. Okay. I paused long enough. So what are we looking at here? Is this the soul of Steve Rogers that she took into the cosmic cube with her? Is it his spirit? Is it his essence? What do we have here?
Well, all of this is happening in her mind. It's just her memory of Steve Rogers.
Yes, but the memories were there to begin with, and you and I both know where this is going. So I'm asking, what this Steve Rogers? Who is this Steve Rogers? What is this Steve Rogers?
Well, this is the genuine Steve Rogers.
So the other one isn't genuine.
It may be Steve Rogers, but in terms of who he is as a person, they're two different people.
Yeah. Because at the end of page 20, well, they're going to be two different people. At the end of page 32, you start to understand something's happening with the cube and something's happening to them.
Right.
So we know this is going somewhere. We obviously don't get there for 2 weeks to issue 10. I just, I wanted your opinion on what that was.
Yeah, I mean, it is Kobik's memory of who Steve Rogers was, but that memory is shaped by the ideology that is the Steve Rogers that we know.
Here's my opinion. Essentially, when she recreated, when he's reborn as the Hydra person on page 29,
yeah,
she took the other version of Steve Rogers and kind of stored it in her memory inside the cube, because she's the cube.
Yeah, she is.
She and Steve Rogers here are the same thing that's being inserted into Hydra Cap's chest. Okay, that's who and what they are.
Right. For now.
For now, yes. So what she did was she preserved the non Hydra Steve Rogers here in the Void.
Right. And at this point, they've literally become one again. You've brought the two back together.
Right.
It's like she fractured the person. She fractured Steve and reformed him into something else. And now that she's added it back together, and we'll see where that goes in the next issue. Yeah. The end page here is a big page where, you know, he's basically got an Iron Man suit that's been charged up with the power of the cosmic cube, and now he's going to wreck everybody.
It's not charged. I mean, he's got the power of the cosmic cube inside the suit.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a good issue.
I thought it was. Yeah, I did think it was good. Yeah. What do you think of the story thus far?
I've enjoyed it. I don't know if it was worth it for the PR, from the PR perspective.
Yeah, and I don't think they expected to take this PR hit because
it was such a
convoluted.
Yeah, well, yeah, it just a confluence of events. I mean, you know, we won't get into the politics, but it was a move that was dicey to begin with, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, but it was a dicey move to begin with that I'm not sure they really understood what they were playing with. Turning the symbol and ideology of Captain America, which is literally anti-Nazi propaganda. That's what those original Captain America comic books were. And embodying the heart, soul, and mind of the fascist ideology into him, and transforming the character like that.
Here's the thing: 2.5 years ago, when Pleasant Hill came out, when Captain America was relaunched, Axel Alonso, Tom Brevoort, and Nick Spencer, the creative minds at Marvel, I think one or two of which have been fired at this point.
Yep. And Joe Quesada was here too.
Knew this was the ending. Okay. They knew the whole narrative that was going to be going on in Captain America, Sam Wilson. Okay. They knew that the good Steve Rogers was still inside the cosmic cube. They knew this. All right. The problem is the rest of the world didn't know it. And I don't think a lot of people bothered reading because you had two different narratives going on. You had the narrative that was going on in Captain America, Steve Rogers, and you had the Captain America going on or the narrative that was going on in Captain America, Sam Wilson. And I don't think people read the Sam Wilson narrative to understand one thing was being presented over here, and the opposite argument was being presented in Sam Wilson. All anybody saw is you've taken Captain America and made him a Nazi. And they just stopped right there. They didn't wait for all 10 issues to come out. They didn't. A lot of people didn't even wait for Secret Empire to start. It from a PR standpoint, it went south on them with Captain America, Steve Rogers #1, and they never recovered. Their sales never recovered. No. Marvel hasn't recovered. You and I listened to a podcast this week where two retailers were talking about the fact that Secret War was the peak of Marvel's sales. And after that, which would be about the time that Pleasant Hill came out, is when they started the slide, which is about the time that Captain America became a Hydra agent. And it just all went south for Marvel then.
Right. And it didn't just go south for Marvel. It went south for everybody. I mean, comic sales are down 10% across the board, across all publishers. So while it's true that Marvel has pulled the market, yeah, I'm certain. While it's true that Marvel has probably pulled the market down a little bit, there's something else going on too. It feels very much like there's a shift happening in the way people read comics, the format they read them, how they access them, who the audience is becoming. And this is all happening at the same time that you also have more out there than you ever did. I mean, at one point in time, it basically was Marvel and DC, and then you had Image and a couple others. But now, I mean, there's so many other publishers out there that indie press stuff has gotten traction. Maybe not all of it, but with the advent of The Walking Dead, people realized there were more to comics than just superhero stories, and they've branched out. And not to mention all the different IPs that that's basically all Dynamite Studios is doing now, is comics for other IPs. I mean, my gosh, Zach Brown from the Zach Brown Band acquired his own publishing company so he can publish his own comic books that he wants to do. So everybody's into comics now. The base of what is available is widened considerably, while the market itself has not gone anywhere really. I mean, the problem is the direct market needs to expand if it wants to reach a wider audience. It just has to.
Yeah. You're exactly right. December is the last month that their sales figures on, and that gave us a year-to-date sales also. December was down 22% from the previous year. Whether you're looking at copies sold or dollar volume, it was down 23% from the previous year. Sales for 2017 were down, again, whether you look at, it's either 10 or 11%, whether you look at dollar volume or copies sold. The entire year was down 10%. But December was a freaking train wreck.
Yeah.
I wonder if January sales are going to be any better.
I think I've seen those numbers, and there's a slight bump, but I'd have to go back and look at it. It's
not on Comic-Con yet.
It ain't good, man. And the thing is, if this relaunch goes well for Marvel, it'll be good for everybody. But
yeah, and the two guys we were listening to essentially said most of this is Marvel and Image and not DC. And I was trying to, I don't have time to look up DC sales individually, but DC is probably up a little bit from last year.
They are, but understand they're still down because the whole industry's down.
Right.
And I have to wonder if it's just the same audience spreading their money out further. Maybe the days of selling 150,000 copies of Spider-Man are over, because that consumer looks at your $3.99 price tag and goes, I could spend, that plus another $1 and get 2 indie books that I'm interested in.
Right.
So I think there's more out there that the same market is enjoying. And you also need to look at the book market. The book market is really, we always come back to this. The book market is the future of this medium, and so is digital, and it has to be embraced with both hands by the big 2 publishers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, what were we even talking about?
We were talking about Secret Empire, and we spun off into the train wreck that Marvel became because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just, I don't think a lot of people gave this series a chance. The sales figures say they didn't give it a chance. I mean,
absolutely. A lot of the outrage, the outrage that you see on social media and the internet, I would bet money that the people who are loudest about it didn't read the books.
Yeah, I was speaking of which, I don't know if you saw Nick Spencer's taking over Spider-Man.
I did.
Leaves. Yeah. I'm actually pretty excited about it, but
it'll be good to have new blood on Spider-Man.
I'm sure collectively the whole world, rolled its eyes.
Yeah, there was a bit of sphincter tightening from the nerd community. But and this could be its own podcast in itself, but the nerd community's got its own demons to wrestle with.
Dude, no doubt, man. No doubt at all. The nerd community just overreacts to everything, and they need to get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we were talking about Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and
That is what's next, and that is what we're talking about. We're talking about Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man #3 in the Spider-Man section of our comic books this week. I don't know if I've ever read anything by Chip Zdarsky before, but this is pretty entertaining.
Yeah, you have.
Okay, the only problem I have is depending on who's writing the book. Peter Parker is 30 and brilliant, or he's 21, 19, 20, 21. Let me rephrase that. Maybe he acts 19, 20, 21 and is immature. Yep. And it's just, and I hate it when there's no consistency in a character. If you're going to publish multiple titles for a character every month, whether it's Spider-Man and you got Amazing Spider-Man and Peter Parker, or it's Superman and you got the 4 Superman books, or it's Batman and you got Batman and Detective Comics, the portrayal of the character needs to be the same throughout all the series. And this isn't just a Marvel problem. I mean, in Batman, they've got him proposing to Catwoman.
I've actually been reading that, and it's really good.
In Justice League of America, they've got the new female Green Lantern kissing him.
Yeah, it's a continuity issue.
And it just bothers me. And it bothered me a little bit in this issue that, you know, Peter's over in Amazing, you got him being portrayed one way, and here he's kind of being portrayed. And maybe you disagree, you know, maybe you read this book and, you know.
Oh, no, I agree with you.
I just think this is the immature Peter Parker, and I, you know, I wish it would be consistent throughout the book. That being said, you got Karnak guarding the girl who used to be a sister. You get a lot of entertaining banter between Karnak and Johnny Storm and Peter Parker. They go see the Tinker's brother, whose name I just forgot, Mason, and you know, he outfits her with some kind of spider wings, and then they decide that Wilson Fisk has to be evil. And again, this is the same story that's been going on in Batman, which is you assume that the character is evil, so you go into vigilanteism and start doing things when maybe he's really not. You know, maybe he's not doing anything evil. And in this case, Wilson Fisk isn't really doing anything wrong. You know, it's nothing illegal. You know, he's cleaning up his act, and he's got Spider-Man, Human Torch, and girl whose name I can't remember, the good Punisher, breaking into his house and attacking him. And you know, that's an interesting storyline.
Yeah,
it was good. I enjoyed it.
Hey, are you real quick, or how are you liking that new Marvel 2-in-1 book?
It's good.
Chip Darsky's writing it.
Is he writing that 2-in-1 book?
Yeah. Okay. He's done a little work on Squirrel Girl and stuff too. He's doing something else coming up soon too.
Yeah, and matter of fact, you were thinking that book would drop off after the artist changed, but dude, the art's still great, the writing's still good. It's entertaining, man.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a Fantastic Four relaunch with fresh start that we don't know about.
Probably so.
Yeah. Moving on to Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider #6. We are 6 issues into this book, and I love Peter David. I do. He's a classic Spider-Man writer, but the last few things he's turned in have been utter garbage, and this is no different.
I disagree.
Really?
Yes.
You like this book?
I recap it. I'm studying something on
so you've got Ben Reilly in Las Vegas trying to find a cure for this little girl who has a disease for some reason, and that's not working out for him, and she ends up dead. And then Rick Jones's wife is there, and she's investigating some dudes riding around a Jeep shooting people at random, and Kane's mad about Ben Reilly existing. And dude, I don't know, man, but this book sucks. Did you want to disagree?
You've gotten your spoiler warning. I'm pretty sure Kane's dead. Kane's not like a little dead. Kane's like dead as in ain't coming back. And you just kind of glossed over that in your recap.
I don't know, man. Maybe I didn't enjoy this book so much that
Dude,
yeah, I kind of forgot that she does that to him at the end of this. Yeah, at some point at the end of the book, Rick Jones's wife touches Kane and he's apparently dead. And you're telling me this is going somewhere?
yes.
All right, then I'll hold out for issue 7, but it's been, I don't know. I wouldn't want to spend $3.99 on this myself.
Yeah, I don't know if I would or not, but you know, I thought it was an entertaining book.
We've talked about spoilers. Just tell me what happens.
I don't know. That's what I was trying to Google. I don't remember. But I'm pretty sure when this book hit the newsstand 6 months ago, it was a pretty big deal that Kane looks like dead and not coming back dead.
Okay.
I was trying to Google it on Kane's Wikipedia page, and it's got everything up to that issue, but it doesn't say what happens to him. It doesn't say if he's still alive or dead. There's nothing going on the Wikipedia page after that last panel where he gets shot.
Okay, then.
Yeah, there you go.
Moving on to X-Men, which has been considerably better.
Yes. X-Men Gold number 10, we have the Resurrection of Omega Red, which, okay, it's all right. I mean, I
like Omega Red.
Do you? I mean, he was...
Yeah, I do. He's one of those X-villains I like.
He was a Jim Lee villain, and I don't know. I guess so. Anywho, he's being resurrected in Russia, and then we cut back to the X Mansion, which is still sitting in Central Park. And I don't remember when Rogue rejoined the team, but apparently she has. And I can't remember the other girl that's sitting here playing cards. Apparently she's back with the team. Anywho,
that's Magic, isn't it?
No. The Native American girl.
Oh, Moonstar?
Danielle Moonstar. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of the X-Men sitting around playing cards and like playing baseball and just genuinely having a good time in this new series.
Yeah, and you get
Have you noticed?
You get a moment between Kitty and Peter, and a couple of weeks ago we discussed where that's going. Which, if you don't know, we won't spoil it for you. But
I don't know how you could not know if you've been to any comic book website in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. So, anywho, so Peter and Alana get a phone call many years ago. Their dad died. How old is Alana at this point?
Like all comic book characters, their age is sometimes nebulous. But at this point, 22.
No, she's a 10 or 11-year-old girl who spent all those years in limbo, and she's really just like 10 or 11.
No, I don't think so.
Yes, I know so. I know so. Because she aged when she was in limbo. That's why when they meet her uncle's like, you should be a little girl, but you're not. And she says, it's a long story.
Oh, okay. Because they don't draw her like a 10-year-old girl.
No, because she aged while she was in limbo.
Okay, but how is she still a 10-year-old girl then if she aged?
It's one of those things where emotionally and mentally
she's on that level.
She's a 10-year-old girl.
Okay. All right. I see what you're saying.
Physically, she was tortured in hell for 10 years, which in our time zone was a space of like, it was like our time zone. Our dimension was literally like 10 seconds. Okay. Peter lost his grip on her for about 10 seconds, pulled her out. In that 10 seconds, she aged 10 years in limbo.
Okay.
But from a maturity point of view, from a mental point of view, she's a 10-year-old girl who was tortured for 10 years.
Okay.
There you go. Anywho, so they go to meet up with their dad's brother. They're in Russia. Their uncle, their dad's brother, their uncle. He's happy to see him. I didn't really understand whether he set them up on purpose or the villains followed them there. But the bottom line is Omega Red is staying alive by consuming the power of mutants and basically of living people and mutants in particular. And this whole thing was basically a plot to kidnap Alana because somehow her power is going to make him give him his life back and make him immortal again instead of just, having to continually suck the life force off other people.
Right. Yeah, their uncle set him up. Whether he did it because if he was under duress from the villains or whatever. I mean, they're the mob. They're the Russian mob. So,
right.
He could have had a gun to his head. So,
right.
Yeah, not bad. I like, again, I'm a big Wolverine fan, and he and Wolverine go toe to toe all the time. So I like Omega Red. They're going to tell a little Rasputin story for a minute.
Yeah, which is fun.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's the X-Men getting back to doing X-Men stuff, which is what I've enjoyed.
Yes.
And that's true in pretty much all these books. Even with Cable number 4, which has improved considerably. Did you read this?
I did, yes. Those first couple of issues were bad, but it's much. Issue 3 got better. Issue 4, it's picking up speed. It's good.
Yeah. The art's also really good.
Yes.
It's Yildiray Cinar. I have no idea who that is, but I applaud Marvel for bringing in fresh talent. Hopefully I'll know who they are at some point, and years from now we'll be like, oh man, they're doing this book. But anyway, I think with CB Cebulski, you're going to see a lot of I think Marvel's going to be flush with young up and coming writers soon.
I hope.
Me too.
Because they're losing all the old experienced writers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the basic story here is this dude named Conquest, who is a traveler out of time. He is going back to different points in time, assembling pieces of a time sword. He's going to use that time sword to basically, he conquered his planet in his universe. Now he's in this universe or time stream, something, I don't know, to conquer. He's basically going to start conquering time. And Cable has to stop him because Cable and time travel go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Art's really good. There's a cool little, there's really good action in the book. There's a good fight scene between the two of them in the later part of the book. The dialogue's good. I'm not going to get into how it ends, because if you like Cable at all, if you enjoy him as a character, go read this issue and see what you think of it. It's worth the time.
Yeah. That brings us to Weapon X number 7. This, I've never heard of this guy before. A guy named Skan, S-K-A-N, Skan, did the cover. Magnificent cover. It really looks good. It's got Weapon H holding up his claws in front of him, and in the image of each claw is Sabretooth, Old Man Logan, and Domino, and reflecting off the image. Their faces are reflecting off the adamantium claws. Really a great cover, man. I mean, that's kind of artwork you would want hanging on your wall. Really looks good. We have Weapon H trying to get away, and he winds up being captured and attacked by the people at the Weapon X division again. Dr. Alba and William Stryker show up, and Alba manages to free herself so she can go after Weapon H, because he's basically out of control. The Weapon X team, Warpath, Sabretooth, Wolverine, Domino, Lady Deathstrike are all tracking him. They finally catch up with him, and you're gonna have a throwdown next issue.
Yep.
Yeah. It was good. It was a good issue. I expedited this because we're an hour in and we've talked about 4 comic books, maybe half a dozen, but this is a really good issue. Good art, good story. It continues the what was the storyline that concluded last week?
Weapon of Mutant Destruction.
Yes, Weapon of Mutant Destruction. It continues that storyline here. Really good book.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's a nice little spin from, it's a nice little pivot away from that story, still dealing with it, but they're probably going to start exploring other things too.
Sure.
It's not like oh, we did this story. Now it's over. Now we're going to go do other stuff. It's a nice little segue.
Right.
Anyway, Iceman number 4, Michelle Rosenberg is doing the color on this. And I don't know if you've noticed, but she's doing work for Marvel like crazy. She's doing color work for a ton of books.
Yeah.
She's coloring a lot of these books these days.
Yeah.
It's good to see Marvel giving a female artist some work. Anyway, Bobby Drake is gay. And he's trying to tell his parents, and every time he tries to tell his parents, it doesn't work out or something happens, and it's just not going well. So he decides he's going to write a letter to them, and maybe that'll work out better. Kitty has some snarky comments to make about it, but they're interrupted when they find out that they've got a missing student. They find out through social media that said student has absconded from the X mansion and is gallivanting around Manhattan in some swanky club. Bobby infiltrates the club when he realizes the person running the club is Dakin, who's alive for some reason.
That happened a while back. I just forget where.
Yeah.
With his arm. With his arm back.
Yeah, he has his arm back. Anyway, Bobby Drake tracks down this mutant teenager kid that I don't even remember from a few issues ago. I think. I don't even know. Maybe this is his first appearance. I have no idea who this kid is, and I don't care. Anyway, the kid wants to join this new... They're basically the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants thing that Dakin's put together. Dakin's promised him he's going to teach him to really use his mutant powers. So he's not going to go with Bobby. Dakin's upset with him because, he's trying to steal his student. They get into a fight. It turns into an introspective moment for Bobby and about who he is on the inside. He and Dakin have a fight. He finally comes home the next morning. He's tired. He's been fighting. They've still got to find this kid who disappeared in a helicopter for some reason. Pardon me. And he just wants to go take a shower and go to bed when Kitty's like, hey, before you walk in there, by the way, your parents are here. And he's just so exhausted and he's so exasperated by the whole situation that he just blurts out, I'm gay. And that's how the book ends. So we'll see the fallout from that next issue.
Yeah. Is Sparky living with you now?
No.
Okay. Sounds like he's in the house. Do you have a dog now?
No. That's the neighbor's dog.
Is he like in your window?
No, he's in the neighbor's backyard.
Okie dokie.
Yeah,
Edge of Venomverse number 5.
I hate that dog.
It sounded so close. I really thought you had gotten a dog and it was in your house.
I'm in my bedroom. Imagine what it's like when I'm trying to sleep. The mailman will go by. Like the mailman goes by every day and has gone by every day since that dog has breathed. And the dog will bark and bark and bark. The mailman is gone. The mailman has been gone for 3.5 hours. The dog is still barking.
I was going to pause a moment so we could hear the dog. For those who don't know, you work nights and sleep during the day.
Yeah.
And get Sparky and the mailman waking you up.
The mailman doesn't wake me up. She's fine. It's Sparky reacting to the mailman or anything that she feels like barking at.
Honest to goodness, sounds like she's in your house today.
Yes. She's a tiny little dog and her bark is shrill and it just carries. And
I really thought y'all had gotten a dog. Anywho, Edge of Venomverse number 5.
There's a pickaxe in my garage. Anyway, Edge of Venomverse number 5. This is the one about Deadpool. If you've been following this, heroes meet symbiotes. Captain America powered symbiote is recruiting a team. That's what's going on here. This one is about how he recruits Deadpool, how Deadpool comes in contact with the symbiote, something about a parasitic alien, not the symbiote, but another one. Anyway, it's very much a Deadpool book. Art is really good. The art in this book is really it's fantastic, actually. James Sticco, I don't know. Yeah, the art's good. Lots of Daredevil quipping and making jokes, and Daredevil's written pretty well here. He looks really cool with the suit. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
Good. That brings us to Generation Store. A couple of things. This was written by Jason Aaron. So if you haven't been reading Jason Aaron's run on Thor, you might be a little confused. Secondly, before I get into the book itself, this is drawn by Mahmoud Asar. And there's some really good art. And what there really is there's like one panel and 3 pages. It's pages 12, 14, 15, and 22. They just really look good. I mean, they really, none of this book looks bad, but those pages in particular just look great. This begins with Thor trying to lift Mjolnir. Mjolnir, thank you. Or he could be trying to lift Calcrap too, for all I know. Anywho, he can't because he's not worthy yet, and his dad gives him a hard time about it. Then they go to some kind of ball, except he hears the prayers of the Vikings. So he goes. The Vikings have attacked Egypt. Problem is, this is 5,000 years ago, and Apocalypse is there, and Thor winds up fighting Apocalypse. By that time, Lady Thor shows up from her time in the void, and now she's there helping him, and Thor's kind of irritated that a woman can lift a hammer and he can't. And, they swap a few words over that. Matter of fact, he calls her winch and a few other things, and Jane Foster isn't real happy about it. They finally get together, stomp Apocalypse. I don't know how this doesn't change the timeline in the future, but it doesn't. That page 22 just looks great. And page 23 isn't bad either. They both live happily ever after, and Thor still can't lift a hammer. And then at the end, you get some Odin Phoenix stuff. Yes, Phoenix, the Jean Grey Phoenix.
What was up with that?
Dude, you gotta read Marvel Legacy. I thought you read Marvel Legacy.
I did, but still, Odin and Phoenix are swapping lovers. Spit. That's lovers. Yes. Lovers. Yeah. What?
Odin and Phoenix are star-crossed lovers. Yes.
Okay.
I don't even begin to say I understand it.
Alrighty.
This will be in Marvel Legacy #1, and maybe at some point it will be explained if they don't scrap the storyline with the Marvel relaunch.
Yeah. By the way, Legacy is what happens after Secret Wars.
I want to say
Secret Empire. There's too many secrets and wars, and stop it.
I want to say 4 weeks. I want to say it's number 10 in 2 weeks, immediately followed by Secret Empire Omega, immediately followed by Legacy. It may be 5 weeks.
Yeah, and Legacy will set up all the stories going forward for at least the next 6 months when Marvel relaunches again, and all of it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which we discussed ad nauseum in last week's podcast. Feel free to go back and listen to it if you want to. Daredevil number 25 in the 616 universe.
Charles Soule's writing this and doing a killer job. I have enjoyed every single issue of this book in its 25 issue run that he's on. Matt Milla is doing the color, and it is fabulous. It really lifts the art up in a couple places here. But I'm gonna be honest, Alec Morgan took over doing the art on this book, and it's bad. It's not good. Did you read this? I'm sure you did.
I read like half of it, and somehow I got distracted.
Dude, really? It's the conclusion of this storyline where Matt is essentially making the court case argument that superheroes and vigilantes should be able to testify on the witness stand without revealing their identity. And in this issue, it has moved all the way through the legal system, and he's going to argue it in front of the Supreme Court alongside that skeezy lawyer that Wilson Fisk hired.
Yeah.
And at some point, while they're waiting to be seen by the judges, one of them asks, "Why do you do this?" And the skeezy lawyer here explains his philosophy of law, and that in his mind, it is the perfect tool to bend the world to your will. And that's terrifying.
I don't know. Nixon tried it. Trump tried it. We'll see who gets away with it.
Yeah. Anyway, the guy skeezes me out. Anyway, they go before the Supreme Court, and I really enjoyed the way that they portrayed this, because this is a visual medium, comic books, and it's essentially Matt going on a long tirade and delivering a legal argument. That's a lot of dialogue and a whole lot of standing in front of a panel of judges and just talking. So the way that they made this more interesting is that they visualized it as an actual fight against the Supreme Court judges, which I thought was really neat.
Yeah, I'm going to go back and read it. I just haven't. It sounds good.
Yeah. Then, his opponent gives his argument. Matt has his rebuttal. Both arguments are presented to the reader. Later, we find out it's actually 2 weeks later. Foggy's at home sitting on his couch when they decide that the court rules in Matt's favor. Vigilantes will be able to testify on the witness stand. Now, as he lays out in his argument, the reason for this is so that you can incorporate superheroes into the legal system rather than alienating them. So he's found a way to bring these superpowered people under the rule of law without everyone having to register.
Without a Superhuman Registration Act.
Yes.
Yes.
And Wilson Fisk's real pissed about it.
I bet he is.
Yeah. So that's how that goes.
There you go. That brings us to Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. Again, number 3 or 4? 4.
3.
4.
Maybe. Okay. 4.
Somebody made a typo. Somebody makes fun of me when I make typos.
Anywho.
Who
could that be?
I don't know. Anyway, did you read this?
I skimmed
it. This is the Old Man Logan timeline where Wolverine kills all the X-Men, and as we've learned in this series, Deadpool kills everyone else. In the last issue, all the heroes decided to make an attack. Hulk, Vision, Misty Knight, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Cable, Captain America, Kate Bishop, Jessica Jones, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, Scarlet Witch. Yeah, all of them. Kate Bishop. They all make a run at Deadpool. Deadpool has, the last time the villains got a hold of him, they bonded him with the Ultron armor. So, yeah, everyone's dead. Everyone's dead. It's just all bad.
Yeah.
Next, we cut to Gwenpool, who is after the Tinkerer. And then we cut to, God bless it, man. We cut to Moon Girl, Miss Marvel, and Power Pack. And in Deadpool's mind, he's playing hide and seek. When he comes back to reality, he's killed all the kids and the dinosaur. And there's just people kind of there aghast, saying, "Oh my God, really?" Yeah. Then we cut to Gwenpool interrogating the Tinkerer. Then we cut to Deadpool killing Matt Murdock, Deadpool killing Ghost Rider, Deadpool killing Nova. It's
Deadpool killing the Marvel Universe.
Yes. Finally, we come to Gwenpool and Deadpool having a confrontation. Deadpool gets the best of her and kills her, but at the end, she tells him what's happening to him. And he kind of knows what's happening to him, but she explains it and says, "By the way, here's the code words they're using to activate you." They have a series of code words they're using to tell him to do this. And she tells him what they are, and apparently he knows how to fight them. Here's the thing about this book, and that's how the book ends. I really like the portrayal of Gwenpool in this book.
I liked it too.
Because you still got the pink costume, you still kind of got the happy-go-lucky Gwenpool, but it was an intelligent use of the character, and it's the character acting intelligently and doing something good in the Marvel Universe, which I really enjoyed.
Right. It's without the wackiness that comes with her regular book, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I actually kind of like that book, but
right.
It's a different interpretation of the character to fit this particular narrative, and it's appropriate that it is Gwenpool who is the one that tells him this.
Yes.
There's meaning there.
Yeah. I enjoyed this book.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange 24, wrapping up the Doctor Strange tie-in to Secret Empire. They're fighting Baron Mordo. He teams up with Spider-Woman and Ben Urich and Wilson Fisk to do it. I'm not going to get into it. If you've been reading this, great. If not, it's whatever. I will say about Secret Empire, one positive thing I can say about it, while none of the tie-ins to it are bad, they're all pretty good. None of them are necessary to read to understand the full story. All you really need to read is the Secret Empire main title and the 2 Captain America books.
Yeah.
That's really all you need. And it's nice to see Marvel do that, where read the tie-in if you want to, and then here's just the mainline books that you need to read to get the gist of the story, instead of every book having to tie into the story arc and you won't know what's going on if you don't read it.
Yeah, all I did when I was reading this off the newsstand, I bought Captain America 25, I bought the Secret Empire books and the Deadpool books. And that's it. And I understood everything that was going on. There was a couple of things about the X-Men and New 10 I missed, but basically, I got the whole story.
Yeah.
That brings us to I Am Groot number 4. Marco D'Alfonso did the cover on this, and that cover's really cool.
It is a really good cover.
It's a really good cover. You know what? It's the only thing about this book that's good. I don't understand. Somehow Groot went through this wormhole. He's on this other planet. The caretaker's been decapitated, and his body's in one place, and his head's running around on this little robot. And, Groot isn't supposed to open doors, and he's running around opening doors, and somehow the Guardians are old and Groot's young, and I don't know, and I don't care.
Yeah, this is one of those books that's not for me and you. This is a book that's really marketed to kids in the all ages crowd. And after having really dug into in the last couple of weeks the retail and business side of the business, I understand that there is a market there that needs to be tapped. And this book is doing well there in that market. And that's why it exists.
I'm glad.
But it's not for me and you.
It's not.
No.
Not at all. The Punisher number 15 is not for kids.
No. Kids love Groot. They love Baby Groot in particular. And those books sell when, some nerdy dad walks into a comic book store with his 7-year-old.
There's a guy at my church. And I run into him occasionally at the comic book store. And we were both there Thursday at the same time. And I was looking at, I asked him what he was getting. We talked about what we were both buying, and he had a Darth Vader book. He had 2 or 3 other Marvel books. He had one DC book. And I was like, Scooby-Doo? Really? He was like, yes, for my daughter. He had a Scooby-Doo comic, man. It was pretty funny.
Hey, I really wasn't aware of it or didn't really consider it until somewhat recently. That's a serious segment of the market these days, is kids.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And as it should be, they're comics.
Yeah.
Not everything should cater to people who read comics in the 70s.
Yeah.
It should cater to people who are kids now.
And because we're already over, an hour or an hour and 15 minutes or however long we've been recording, I was talking to it's Jason, who I'm always talking about, but his brother Nick. I don't know how to divide up ownership or whatever, but he works there too. And I was asking him, I said, look, do all these people hanging out in your store playing board games generate income for you? And he was like, kinda. This is a topic we had a couple of weeks ago about how comic book stores need to do other things. And with Jason and Bob's Comics in Birmingham, the seller here in Memphis, both have entirely different strategy. Bob sells high-end old back issues, okay, either in his store or online. That's where he makes his money, those high-end back issues.
Well, and even in Birmingham, there's 5 or 6 comic shops. But if you want back issues, every comic owner in Birmingham, if you're looking for a back issue or a series of back issues, they're going to tell you to go to Bob's.
Yeah, but Bob will buy 2,000 comics in a collection to get his hands on 10 that he can turn around and make money off of.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how many back issues he has. But whereas the seller in Memphis, you have comics, they don't have a lot of back issues. They got a good many, but not the volume that Bob does. And they sell a lot of board games. They have a lot of board games there. So now you understand what we're talking about. Now you understand the backstory. They don't specifically make money off those people all the time, but number one, it generates revenue in concessions for the store. Number two, he said it generates activity for the store. You don't walk in, and no offense to Bob, okay, but you don't. How many times have you and I just walked into Bob's and Bob's just sitting there watching sports on his TV? He's got like a 60-inch TV on the wall, and he's just sitting there watching a.
Yeah, he's watching Sports Center. He, you come in, he nods at you, he pulls your books out of the file, hands them to you.
Yeah, and that's it. You're like the only person in there.
Yeah, oftentimes it is just you or maybe one other person.
Yeah, and how many times have you or I have, because I'm his age, dude. I'll stand there and talk to Bob for an hour.
You have to get to know him. A lot of people are put off by him because he's just not the most talkative person. But once you get to know him a little bit and just talk to him, he's a cool dude.
Now, what Nick was telling me is it creates a fun atmosphere in the store for them.
Yeah.
It makes people comfortable in the store. It gives the store something to do. It creates life in the store. Okay. When you drive by, you see a parking lot full of cars and you see people in there and you think, what's going on in there? And I want to go in. And it literally generates business for them. The only drawback, and I said, or any drawbacks, he said, you got to have the right people. He said, you can't have people that'll steal from you, and you can't have people, for lack of a better term, get drunk and get rowdy. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't go out drinking all day Saturday and you show up for a magic event on Saturday night drunk. Okay. You can't have those people there. He said, so as long as you're more or less controlling the people who are there and hanging out, it's not a problem at all.
Yeah. And luckily the nerdy crowd doesn't necessarily tend to be the party types either.
He said it's gotten out of control before and they've had to ban people from the store, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always one or two, but
right.
You're talking about nerds here. They're mostly introverted.
Yep. Punisher number 15.
I have really enjoyed this Punisher series.
This was a great issue.
This is, it's just good Punisher writing. Every issue is its own self-contained little story. There's nothing crazy going on. Like he's not a Frankenstein or something nuts like that. Although this is going to change here soon, but everyone is just him stopping a bad guy or two in the way that the Punisher does. And, it's a one and done story. On this one, some bozo is pushing people onto the train tracks in the subway. Punisher teams up with a homeless war vet to help him stop the guy. And he becomes a local hero. Hooray. Punisher saved the day.
Yeah.
In a very Punisher-esque fashion that is definitely so not for children.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
That brings us to Star Wars, Dr. Aphra, annual number 1.
You know how I feel about annuals.
I know how I feel about them.
I think it's outdated and no one knows what they are, and they're really just a good way to deviate from the story. So this one deals with Black Kirsten's origin, the Wookiee that's following Afra around all the time. He got captured by slavers on Kashyyyk. They trained him to be a gladiator, and he became a well-known killer in the galaxy. Hooray. It's I'm underselling it. It's a pretty decent book, but I hate these little side stories sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So what was your favorite book this week, Pat?
Yeah, either Secret Empire #9 or Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe again. Secret Empire #9. It's the penultimate chapter. It's they're moving the story along well. You finally understand what's all the threads are coming into a knot and concluding. And yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Secret Empire #9. It was definitely the crown jewel of this week.
Yeah.
In the dump this week, we've kind of already talked about it, but we got that 90s Elektra series. It's 1 issue through 19. We're actually going to talk about it on What's Next here shortly. So if you want to know more about it, stay tuned. And then there's that 1 issue of Black Goliath.
Yeah, this Elektra series. This is the first ongoing Elektra series. The art's by Mike Deodato Jr., who we're both big fans of. This is a really good series.
Yeah, it's also our classic read this week. Go read it. It's if you like those characters, if you like Daredevil and Elektra and those Defenders and all that, it's worth reading.
Yeah, it's a really good book, man.
What's next coming up soon? If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
The website is www.6monthsbehind.com. I have no idea. I know I put this week's alternate covers on there because there were some good ones. I don't know if I put the stuff for Secret Empire #9 on there yet or not. If I didn't, I will.
Cool. Well, before we go, do you have any wisdom for our true believers?
It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see.
All right. See you guys next week.
Peace. Dude. Why don't we hit the what's next either tomorrow night or Wednesday night?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we've been at this a minute.
I'm sure you're tired. We've been at it a minute. I got things to do.
Yeah. We just talked for 2 hours about 15 comic books.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's fine. We can probably bust it out tomorrow night real quick.
That's fine. I'll hit you up after work.
All right. I'll see you later.
All right, man. Get some rest.
All right. Bye.
All right.